Hey guys, what's up? This is Francisco with Valorizo Capital, and this video is about the weekly watch list for the week of October 10th. We're gonna cover some of the names. We're gonna cover some of the leaders, quote unquote leaders, because they're starting to break down, and I think that they are starting to offer some really nice short entries. Especially we happen to get some kind of bounce here, but I think that some of these are already actionable. I'm also gonna go through some of the ETFs that I'm looking for short opportunities as well, some of which I'm already in. We're gonna go through those setups as well. And remember guys that this video is for informational purposes only and is based on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. So let me get my drawing tools ready here. So the first name that I want to share with you is SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF, and this one is looking great for a short setup. If you follow me on my Twitter, I did mention this one when it was actionable, and it was in this test right here to the demand level, to the supply level, sorry, of 204.16. These are basically just based on price structure. And if you have been following my channel for some time now, you know that the indicators that I look at, I have the TTM squeeze right here. The second one that I have right here is the trend oscillator, and then I have a tool to identify the structure of the moving averages. That way I can see it on the chart, and I can also see it with my indicator, and I use that as a visual confirmation. So basically what you can see here is that SMH is starting to break to the downside, right? You can see that we have an inverse cup. If you just take a look here, you can see that we have an inverse cup, and the expectation is that this cup continues to move to the downside. Now, what are the other theses for this? Is that if you're familiar with the trend oscillator, anytime that the trend oscillator drops below 50, the midline, which is 50, I get a sell signal. So you can see right here that I got the sell signal as soon as we dropped 50 and we broke below this low right here. And you can see that we had a squeeze and we had a pretty nice move to the downside. Now, since my system is based on trend following, I'm looking for some continuation. The quote unquote perfect entry for this setup was this test of the supply level of 204.16. Basically, a supply level is just when what was previous support becomes resistance. So you're expecting that the previous demand becomes supply at this moment. So that's exactly what's happening in SMH. You can see that we are below a declining 8, below a declining 13, and below a declining 21 exponential moving averages. And you can see right here that the trend oscillator is below 50. So this is a pretty straightforward setup. You are just looking to short any rallies into resistance. A resistance is going to be the 21 exponential moving average or any supply level, and we happen to get both. So right now I'm just looking for this to take out this low right here. You can see that we already closed below the June lows, which is right here, and the expectation is just a continuation, right? Nothing fancy, just trend following. You look for any rally into resistance, and then you are just looking to short that rally for more continuation. Is a name that is also interesting within the semiconductor space is NVDA, and this one is starting to look great. You can see that I did mention this one on my channel, on my Twitter account as well. And you can see right here that we tested the 21 exponential, and also we tested the supply level of 133.46. That is the entry that you're looking for a continuation of the trend. And why do I think that this is going to continue? Because of the structure. You can see that we have bearish structure in the moving averages. You can see that the trend oscillator is below 50, and you can see that the momentum in the squeeze is also below 0. And also what is really interesting here is that we are starting to squeeze. I'm looking for this squeeze to continue the move, so I'm looking for some acceleration. Now, if you haven't entered this trade just yet, I think that you're gonna have the opportunity. I quickly paused the video because my dogs were trying to get into the room, so I had to take them out. So let's continue here with the chart in NVDA. You can see, as I was mentioning, we rally into that declining 21 exponential, we rally into the supply level, and now we're starting to form a squeeze. If you take a look at the momentum in the trend oscillator, we are starting to test this previous resistance level, which could act as support. But given the structure of price, even if we rally, perhaps I'm expecting a little bit of chop and then a continuation to the downside. We have earnings that are all the way to November, so we don't have to care about those earnings. I'm just looking for any sustained move in the next couple of weeks, and I think we're gonna get it. This is starting to form pretty nice to the downside. Let me check some other names that I want to share with you. Next one I want to share with you is sarik, which is also starting to form pretty nicely. You can see right here that we are starting to flag, and this is exactly what you want to see when you want to enter a bearish position. Let me show you. So you can see here that we had the sell signal active right here in sarik. As soon as we broke below the midline, you can see that the midline has been acting as resistance, which is exactly what you want to see. And then you can see that we got the dump, we got the rally into the decline in 50 DMA. Then we had another dump, and what happened here is that we didn't correct all the way to the 21, right? What sarik actually did is that it flagged, waiting and correcting in time for the 21 EMA to catch up with price. So that's a beautiful way for some continuation, because at this point you are oversold, but the moment that you start flagging and you wait for the exponential, for the moving average exponential to catch up with price, then you resolve those oversold conditions, and this is looking awesome for more continuation to the downside. Why do I think some continuation to the downside? Structure, right? You can see the structure is bearish. We have the 8 below the 13 below the 21. So the fast moving average below the slower moving average. And then in terms of momentum, we're still below the 50, and also the squeeze is below 0. I'm just looking for some continuation here. The trade was actually that rally into the decline in 21. That's the entry. And now I'm just looking for some continuation. I think that we're going to take out the lows. And the levels that I'm looking for here, I'm looking for 33 to the downside. So if we happen to get a rally next week, as long as this continues to be below 41.86, I think that you just short any rally and look for continuation in sarik. A great way to trade sarik is using sarik. And if we take a quick look at sarik, which is the one that I'm long into right now, you can see that this one, right, you can see right here that we found support right at that demand level of 56.57, and you can see that we're flagging, and I'm looking for some continuation, and you can see that the trend oscillator is above 50. So this is exactly what you want to see for some continuation in a move, and that is exactly what we're getting. The next name that I have here is Apple, and Apple is looking great for more downside, right? I mentioned Apple right here this day when we had that move into that declining 8 exponential. I mentioned Apple on my Twitter account. I mentioned that that I was looking for more continuation into the downside in Apple. And then you can see right here that we have pretty bearish momentum indicator, and then we have a squeeze that is starting to fire into the downside, and the structure is bearish. So this is exactly what you want to see for some continuation. You can see that we are starting to see that right now. And what I'm looking for Apple is just a continuation all the way to test the June lows, right? I think that a test of the June lows is gonna offer some support, and it's looking pretty great. As long as we continue to be below the structure, which is 148.37, I'm just looking for some continuation in the Big Apple right here. So that covers SMH, sarik, NVDA. We cover Apple, and let me cover some of the leaders which I think that are breaking down and are offering some really nice shorting opportunities. Let's start here with swap. And what is it really interesting about shorting these leaders is that since there's a lot of people holding these leaders, there's a lot of stops in these names. So we tend to see when these names break, we tend to see moves happen really fast. So that's something really interesting. So let me tell you my thesis in swap, and you can also see these indicators in action right here. You can see that a swap was moving higher, and it was consolidating we were just consolidating, waiting for the 50 DMA to catch up with price. You can see that momentum was already breaking lower. So that's the beauty of this indicator, because you can see that price was flagging sideways, but the indicator was already moving very fast to the downside. And what is interesting here is that as soon as we break considerably below the midline, I get a sell signal. So the moment I got the sell signal, I know that there's a higher probability that we're gonna see a change in trend, or some continuation to that side. So what do I mean by that? You can see that we break here, and then we got this short covering rally. A lot of people are saying like, oh, okay, swap is looking nice, great. We recovered the 50, whatever. What I'm seeing is that swap is just retracing right into momentum resistance. And as soon as we get into momentum resistance, I'm looking for a short. So that's exactly what we got. You can see right here that we got the squeeze. We got momentum structure in the EMAs. And now, as soon as we found resistance in the momentum structure, I'm looking for swap for a continuation lower. And what I'm thinking is that swap is going to go all the way to this gap close right here. So this one is looking pretty nice. I think that if you just manage your position, set your stop somewhere around this level, you're just going to be fine. And we will have to see what happens in this name. Next name that I have is CLH. This one is looking great for more downside as well. What is the thesis here? We have the head and shoulders topping pattern. And this is the beauty of the indicator, right? You can see right here that we were making higher highs in CLH, but the indicator was already making lower highs. You can see that we were trying to hold sideways, but the indicator continued to break to the downside. Right here, when we had this considerable break, I had the sell signal, and it was below that 50 daily moving average. And you can see that the moment that we had this short covering rally all the way to that 20 declining 21 exponential moving average, you can see that we were just coming back all the way into that midline resistance. And that's exactly the place where you want to start some short positions. And right now, what we have is a bear flag below all the decline, all the moving averages. You can see that the structure is bearish, and I'm just looking for some continuation to the downside in this name. And then finally, let me share with you TTD, which is also one that has been holding. But what is interesting about TTD is that we had this pretty massive gap up, right? You can see that we had this pretty massive gap up, but then what happened? You can see that TTD basically flagged sideways. We were already losing momentum, and as soon as the 50 daily moving average catch up with price, you can see that we kind of find some support in this name right here, but we are starting to break to the downside. This is going to be the line in the sand in terms of momentum, and then what I'm looking for is some continuation to the downside. I think that we're probably going to come all the way to 47.70 to close up this gap that we had in earnings, and just some more continuation to the downside, right? So this one is looking great. We have a squeeze. Momentum is starting to break lower. We have bearish momentum in the structure of the EMAs. So I think that continuation to the downside seems what is going to happen in this name. And those are the names that I'm going to share with you guys. I think that a lot of things also look bearish. I think that the QQQ also look bearish, the SPY, the IWM, the DIA. There's a lot of names that actually look great for some shorting, Tesla, Amazon, but the ones that I'm sharing with you are kind of the ones that I have on my watch list, the ones that look vulnerable for more downside, and also the ones that are offering some really good risk-reward ratios in terms of the setup. So I'm pretty sure that this was a really helpful video. Make sure to like and subscribe so more people can find my channel and also get some benefit from my analysis. And also remember to follow me on my Twitter account @Valareso_Capital. And in that account, I share these setups on a daily basis. That way you can identify when I'm exactly entering into the setups and what is actually the low risk entry that I'm looking for when I want to enter a new setup as well. And also my targets, risk management, etc. So thank you so much guys for watching, and take care. Peace. Bye bye.